Welcome back, NoDQ Galaxy, to a brand new edition of the NoDQ Review, number 257. On this Sunday night, I am Virtue, the moderator, being joined by this week's elite panel of NoDQ. Of course, Aaron Rift is here, Jerry Slaughter is back, and the reliable one is here as usual, Walter. Gentlemen, what's going on? Walter, I'll start with you, get you out of the way, because you're usually short and sweet. You want to get to the point, get to the topics. What's up?
Yeah. Nothing much, of course. Thanks for having me. I haven't been on with Jerry in a while, so this should be fun. So, yep, I'm ready to jump right in. That's it.
And we just got 4 of us, and maybe we'll be out of here in less than an hour, which would be great. Jerry, what's up, man? Welcome back.
I've worked like 140 hours in 2 weeks, so it's one of those situations where I just want to do something fun. And I haven't got to talk wrestling with you guys in a while, so I'm really happy to be here.
And we're going to do that. I mean, we got our big topics. Roman Reigns is back. We get to talk about him a little bit finally. And who knows what the NoDQ Galaxy will bring up. And I already saw a super chat. Aaron, pass it over to you. Get the ball rolling on your end there.
Happy to have Jerry Slaughter with us once again. It's been a few minutes since we've had Jerry on. And, of course, Walter, Mr. Reliable, with us tonight. And Virtue, the moderator. I'm here. We have SmackDown this past Friday. A lot of things happened on that show. It's been a busy week, to say the least, in wrestling. And Mr. Tito is here in the chat room. He'll be moderating, looking out for those trolls. And he said, any thoughts on recent world events? I mean, it sucks what's going on in the world right now. All we want is peace. As John Lennon once said,
what do they always say in the Miss America pageant? They want world peace. That's like one of their answers. So we'll stick with that.
That's their go-to.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm ready to get this ball rolling. Let's do it.
Okay. First topic. So we know there is a split now. WWE is TKO. So you got the UFC side, you got the WWE side, and it's, of course, under the Endeavor umbrella. And, you know, we know Vince McMahon found his way back into the company to sell it, and he did. And we heard that rumor. This was like, you know, heading into when he left after those allegations, the whole money situation with him using company money as hush money. And Triple H was in charge, and the peasants rejoiced. Well, then Vince kind of came back, and you were like, wow, how much of creative is he in charge of again? And now since the merger, you know, this is what we hear, that it's kind of the Triple H show again. So let's just kind of go around and talk about that. Like, we know Vince McMahon is still the chairman of the board for the WWE side of the board of directors. You know, Triple H is still the head of creative. So, Jerry, I'm going to start with you. You know, you have those people out there that Vince McMahon, to them, is a scumbag, and his time has passed him by. And they don't want to believe he's still, you know, they want Triple H to be their hero of writing their wrestling programming. Okay, well, at some point, there will be no Vince McMahon anymore unless he makes a robot of himself with AI that exists long after his demise. But let's focus right now on Triple H, right? He's had his detractors. Mr. Tito's one of them in the chat right now. Life going forward with Triple H, the head of creative. And you can bring up specific things that you've noticed recently that could be of his influence. Take it away. I mean, this is like round 2. We kind of already had round 1. Vince kind of came back, meddled a little bit, and you could watch the shows and figure out, yeah, probably. But round 2 here, Triple H is the man right now going forward, Jerry. What are your thoughts?
There's definitely been those moments where you can always tell, like, you know, Vince stepped in and said, okay, that's not going to work. We need to add this person in. And it's like, oh, yeah, that's one of Vince's boys, or that's one of Vince's girls. We know this. Or this is like a trope that's been played over and over again since like the mid-90s. Just kind of grasping onto a whole attitude era type thing, but trying to keep it PG at the same time. It's really, really weird. But I think in the long run, Triple H is going to model still a lot of what he does, like booking-wise and everything, or creative-wise, on the stuff he learned from McMahon down the line, just adding modern influence as he goes along with it. Like more of your cruiserweights, more of your international styles. Still less big men, but at the same time, he'll still have like the heavyweights having their own thing, and it's going to be great. But it's just going to take a little bit of getting used to as well, since like the roster keeps on fluxing and influxing with the different cuts and the different layoffs and everything. So I'm interested to see where it's going to go. I think Triple H is doing great with what he has. I wish he'd actually have would do more with Karrion Kross. Not necessarily like in ring work or just moving back to NXT, something, because he's a great mind. I think he's supposed to feud with Bray Wyatt before he passed away. That's what I'm hearing from an interview he did with Chris Van Vliet. So that would have been an interesting thing to see, and I want to see if anything else comes with him. So, but yeah, I'm interested to see where he takes the WWE in the next year or so. And Shawn Michaels is working wonders down in NXT. So who knows?
Who would have thought? Think about this. Who would have thought D-Generation X?
They eventually won against McMahon. That's pretty great.
The pulse of WWE programming from, developmental up to the main roster. And part of the thing we're going to talk about later, that Triple H is, front and center. Roman Reigns, you got LA Knight dabbling in that scene now. And of course, the rekindling, the reminding us Cody Rhodes' story's not finished. We got all of that in one program this Friday night on SmackDown, which we're going to save that for the main event. But that's Triple H kind of reminding people here heading into the fall, into the winter, into the slow season, that this is still, this is what we have planned, and up and comers. So, I mean, you got to give him props.
Triple H said best when he was defending the whole Cody Rhodes not winning is the fact that the story does not end in WWE. It just keeps on going. So that's just him reinforcing that and bringing new hope for another feud with Roman Reigns. It's going to be with Jey Uso and him being tag champions at this point, him and Cody Rhodes. That's going to be fun to watch to see who goes after Roman Reigns.
Logan Paul's winning his boxing matches and then challenging on those pay-per-views, making challenges, for WWE matches. Of course, the Rey Mysterio thing. I mean, that's the pulse right there, right?
Trying to get that attention. Cross branding right there.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. And we're going to talk a little bit more about another thing Triple H did here in our middle segment. When we talk about general managers, there was a funny line regarding Rey Mysterio from one of them, but we'll get to that. Walter, we're talking Triple H right now. Go ahead. You're on the floor. Take as long as you need. We're doing good on time.
Yeah, it's funny that DX was formed as anti-authority, and now they are the authority. So it kind of came full circle. But it's hard for me to take. You got to take every rumor as a rumor and with a grain of salt, because 6 months ago we heard this whole thing about Vince McMahon retiring, and Virtue, to his credit, was the only one saying, nah, he's not going to completely disappear. And 6 months later, we're still talking about him. So it's hard to just say Triple H is completely in control and we haven't heard it from WWE's mouth. It's just from different websites, or it's rumored. It's not them out saying it. So it's hard for me to just take it until Vince says it or Triple H says it or somebody says it. That's when it's 100% true for me, because they backpedal a lot and things happen. And somehow Vince McMahon is a very, very intelligent businessman. And if you think that people got one over on him, you got another one coming, because he'll find a way to get back in there. So but you got GMs now, so that seems like that might be a Triple H thing. So there are things pointing. I think there's a rumor that Vince didn't want CM Punk back, but now they're doing all these things. Okay,
Walter, time out real
and it's
quick.
Triple H. Yeah.
So you mentioned that. What a horse shit of a rumor I've ever heard. When is Vince McMahon never entertained to bring somebody back, even if he didn't get along with him for business?
Right.
So
never.
If that was a Triple H rumor, I might buy that. Okay, but not Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I had to throw that out there. Go ahead.
Yeah, Vince is all about the money. That's why I don't get it either. That's why I said I'm trying to prove you got to take everything with a grain of salt. You just never know.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully it is. We'll see. But let's not all I love to just jump on Triple H and it's yeah. Triple H isn't batting 100 now. Like he's done some some people he brought back didn't pan out. Like he signed a few people like Hit Row and people came back, and not everything he touches is gold. So let's give him some time and before we all kiss his ass.
Is part of that, I got to put this out there, was part of those failures, which probably would have been inevitable, but because that Vince interjected himself back in and there was still that clash in creative, so those ones obviously were going to fail again. I mean, maybe give him the benefit of the doubt that if Triple H had the full control after bringing them back, maybe he could have made something of them, but I have to throw that out there.
That's what
a
Eric
point.
Young bounced when he did.
Yeah,
that's
a fair point.
Like on TV because he heard that Vince had returned. So he's like, there's no good could come of this, and that's when he left.
That's a fair point.
All right, well, thank you, Walter, for your thoughts there. I'm going to pass it over to Aaron now.
I think that Walter made some great points there about the rumors. And as far as Vince McMahon goes, I think that he's going to be around until they actually kick him out or he dies. Yeah. And I think that he'll try to find his way to have as much involvement as possible. But for now, Triple H is reportedly running the show, and the product has been a lot better than it's been in a very long time. I would say over a decade. I think WWE is on fire right now. You have several red hot baby faces: LA Knight, Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, and you got Roman Reigns, the heel of a generation. You got Dominic Mysterio, who's doing great stuff. Like, they have some red hot acts right now. Rhea Ripley is on fire right now. Whatever Triple H has been doing, it's working. They're putting 10,000 plus people in arenas, and that's a good sign for the future. And I think this was something that needed to be done. Like, we all talk about Vince McMahon, and if it wasn't for Vince, we would not be here doing these videos. Vince accomplished a lot, maybe more than anybody in the history of the wrestling business. But at some point, things need to change, regardless of what you think about Vince as a person or even as a businessman. At some point, things need to change. Nothing can stay the same forever. You need to evolve. You need to change things up. And I think that Triple H running creative is absolutely the right call. You need a younger person who can be more in touch with what the younger audience wants. At the end of the day, a 77, 78-year-old man is not going to be in touch with what a 20-year-old wants to see on television. I think Triple H will have a better idea of what those younger fans want to see. And up to this point, Triple H has been delivering. He knows what to do to get his audience buying tickets and subscribing to Peacock, buying merchandise. Triple H, he's been mostly hits. And like Walter said, not everything has worked out. And Jerry mentioned Karrion Kross. I hope they can still figure out something for him. Not everybody's going to make it to the top, but look at where they've come since 2021. Like,
I'd be happy with a mid-card run with Karrion Kross, with him having the Intercontinental or like maybe even the U.S. title. That'd be a solid way for him to start. So
yeah, and Endeavor seems to know what to do here. They're putting their confidence in Triple H, and I think it's the right call. I think they know what's best for business. I think Triple H running the creative side is definitely the right call, and they're doing well, and I expect them to continue doing well for the foreseeable future. I definitely think it's the right move, but Vince, I just don't see him going away so easily. Yeah. If we hear reports about him coming back, would not shock me. And I wonder if this is even, I know this sounds like a conspiracy theory, but people are wondering, like, well, if there's a show that gets bad reviews, they could just say, oh, well, Vince changed plans at the last minute. Like, they could totally do something like that and get the word out. And Vince can be the scapegoat if there's a poorly reviewed show. But I don't think that's really the case. I think Triple H is running it. Like, they haven't done any of the really bad comedy that Vince was known for, and the matches are given more time. And I feel like they're just having a better understanding of what the audience wants. Like you can tell when it's Vince, when you get that toilet humor, and we really haven't seen that in a very long time. You know, they dropped the 24/7 division, which I think was very much Vince. And there's the little signs, you know, they do sometimes say sports entertainment or local medical facility, but it's not like it was before. And like WWE Universe, they don't say that as much. Like when you hear all those phrases that Vince is known for, that's when you know like he's getting involved with the script and barking orders and whatnot. But yeah, I think that it's definitely the best it's been in a long time.
They've said ambulance and hospital recently, so
yeah, and I mean it's just little things. There's a lot of little things that you can pick up on that you know that's not Vince. And Nick Aldis being there, and we'll talk about this in a moment.
I was about to say Chad Gable. I don't think would have gotten over as big as he has.
Look at his turnaround. Like he was Shorty Gable. That was Vince. Like we all know that was Vince's vision of Chad Gable. And look at Chad Gable now. Chad Gable now is Triple H's vision of Chad Gable.
And then you have Max Dupree, and that didn't work out either. And
that was Vince's vision of LA Knight. And look where LA Knight is at now. Once Vince went away.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
But that's the thing. Vince does throw a lot of stuff at the wall, but then you get the tribal chief Roman Reigns. Now, that could be a lot of, you know, Roman, hey, I'm not eating dog food anymore, you know, or looking like I'm eating dog food anymore. And Paul Heyman got it, you know, intervened in that. But Vince still allowed Roman to change character.
I do question that if there was no pandemic, would we have ever gotten the tribal chief? That's one of the biggest what ifs. Anyways.
That's a good point. Ready to move on?
Let's do it.
So let's talk about the general managers now. I know a lot of us have been, you know, clamoring for some time. We need authority figures on these shows because wrestlers just can't make their matches. Like, so Adam Pearce was kind of running it unofficially, going, you know, to both shows. Now, the strange thing is Triple H said, hey, Adam, you got a promotion. You're going to be just the general manager of Raw. Now, if he wasn't a general manager and now he's a general manager, okay, I can see that being a promotion. But you're going to the lower rated 3-hour show where you got to work harder and manage more wrestlers. So is that really a promotion? But anyway, now Nick Aldis is the GM of SmackDown. And like, why did we have to get dirt on this? Why did, you know what I mean? Like, just I hate that there's moles backstage, but nonetheless, considering that fact, Nick Aldis did a pretty good job on SmackDown, and I think he won the crowd over with his line to Dominic about he was a big fan of his father. That was great. So anybody talk about the GMs. I mean, I'll start with you, Walter, on this one. You know, now you got Adam Pearce, officially the GM of Raw, and Nick Aldis making his WWE debut. I don't think he was ever working for the company in the past or tried out or anything. We know he's been in NWA and TNA. But Nick Aldis, he has that, you know, you don't want to mess with him, bigger stature, wearing the nice suits, British accent. Good for an authority role. Thoughts here?
It is good, but like I said, it's new. We got to give it time. It's only been 2 days. However, I really think that the GM thing isn't going to work unless you really, really take a Blanche serious, because then what would be the point? You're going to have to keep people separate and stop jumping back and forth. And maybe we'll finally get this only the champions can be on both shows thing. Because look, coincidentally, almost like it's scripted, KO wears blue and all of a sudden it's on SmackDown. Like hell of a coincidence,
Walter, right? Walter, with that said, you could have carryover on roster back and forth. There could be no brand split, and you could have the same wrestlers on both shows. Nick Aldis is the GM of SmackDown on that night, and Adam Pearce is the GM of Raw on that night. Not necessarily a group of certain wrestlers. You can still look at it that way.
Yeah, that's right, because you're on my show, so I'm booking you the way I'm booking you tonight.
Yeah.
You can do that. I get what you mean, but because
there should be no brand split, first of all. But I would still be behind specific GMs for the shows.
I get what you're saying, but I just if there is GMs and they do an actual brand split, just please don't go back to Survivor Series being that brand supremacy bull crap, because
Oh yeah.
that's just horrible. Just keep it War Games. Keep it like, I honestly feel like that's why the GMs were introduced. It's for War Games so that they could be like, these are my people versus this people, even though it's probably going to be the Judgment Day versus Cody and everybody. That's what War Games is about. Which I'm shocked Triple H, one of his announcements wasn't War Games, that it was just these two things. But yeah, we'll see. It's only a few days, so we got to give it some time and see if it works. But yeah, Nick fits a GM role the way he looked. Like you said, he's big. You don't really want to cross him, and you know he can wrestle. So do you really want to? So does Adam Pearce. So do you really want to cross GMs as a wrestler, especially like a Ricochet or someone smaller? You want to cross these big people who actually can do your job and can take you out too. So it's good to have those kind of authority people, not like people like Vicky and people that you know you can kind of get over on. These people know how to fight. They're bigger, so you got to respect them. So see how it works out.
Hey, what's the likelihood that down the road at some point Nick Aldis will take an F5 from Brock Lesnar so Brock can be suspended off TV for a while before he comes back later?
That's highly likely.
In all likelihood.
Exactly.
Okay, well, all right. Jerry, thoughts on the GMs?
All right. So I like the fact that we have two very prolific, almost like recent NWA world champions as general managers for these shows. That's really great for me. I really like the fact that you have these like wrestlers with very old school mentalities as the general managers. But if they're going to keep the general manager thing, they need to do a couple things to make it right this time. One, they need to go ahead and do like superstar shakeups. Not just like, not like a full-blown draft, because it's not a draft. I'll get to that in a minute. But I like the idea of them brokering deals between brands, maybe to move certain wrestlers for certain amounts of time onto their program. Kind of like whether it be an even trade or maybe like two wrestlers for one. Just something, but it has to be announced, whether it be on social media or just on the show itself. That would be fantastic. Also, if they do a draft anymore, it shouldn't be a draft from Raw to SmackDown or SmackDown to Raw. That's not a draft. That's a trade. Mm-hmm. Any draft should be done from NXT, almost like a graduation type thing. They need to do that once a year. Have like the GM from Raw and SmackDown both show up to NXT and pick maybe like 2 or 3 people that they take up to the main roster with them. That would be a draft, and that makes all the sense in the world, and actually gives them more to fight for than just belts in NXT. They'll want more TV time, they'll want more exposure, and they'll want to hone their craft a lot better. So there's more of an incentive with that. Also, with Nick Aldis, I think Triple H brought him in, or at least he was brought in anyway, because he still could be an active competitor. The guy is not old. He is still in great shape, can still go. Adam Pearce had to retire because of a whole bunch of different injuries, but Nick Aldis can still be in a ring. I think he's just in place until Regal is able to show back up on WWE television this next year. And then Nick Aldis is going to go back to actually being an active wrestler, and William Regal is going to take over the role. So we'll have Adam Pearce on Raw and William Regal on SmackDown, which, oh my God, William Regal as GM again, that'd be so beautiful.
Now, you really think so? You think Nick Aldis will become a? See, I figured he can get physical and take bumps as a GM.
I think.
But I mean, it's Triple H, though. I mean, it's not. I think
he's got an actual WWE run in him, and maybe I'm wrong, but at the same time, I think it'd be great. And then, if his wife wants to show up and have another run in WWE before she retires, fine.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Okay, well,
nothing wrong with that at all. Hardcore country.
Well said. All right, Aaron, over to you.
Yeah, that would be a little bit of a political move, though. Like, her husband is the general manager, and all of a sudden she gets her job back.
It'd be a cool heel move.
It would be. I really hope there's some real rivalry between Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis. This was a great start to this. I definitely like the idea of there being general managers, but my concern is it's going to fizzle out just like the other general manager storylines that we've seen over the past several years. I'm hopeful that things will get heated and they'll be heavily involved in the storylines, and they'll have to do trades from now and then just to settle an issue on a brand. Like maybe there's two wrestlers, things are out of control, and Adam Pearce says, okay, I need this guy from Raw over to SmackDown and let's do a trade. Like, I'd like to see some negotiating. And if they do have like Raw versus SmackDown matches, I'm really hopeful that something will actually be on the line and not just, as you mentioned, the brand supremacy. Like, it's so lame. Like, there actually has to be something on the line, and even potentially jobs on the line. Like, they got to build up some drama and suspense with these general managers if this is going to work long term. But I definitely think Adam Pearce is a great talker. Nick Aldis did a great job on his first night in, and I'm very excited at the potential that this story can have with the general managers being brought back into play. But I'm also a little nervous that they're going to blow it, but I'll give them a chance here. And Mr. Tito sent in a $2 or $5 super chat. Thank you, Mr. Tito, by the way. Mr. Tito says, WWE is on fire right now. SmackDown literally set the table for many storylines in the future. Check out my shoe review in NoDQ. Yes, Mr. Tito wrote a review of SmackDown. If you guys want to check that out, head over to NoDQ.com. And he made some great points about SmackDown. And I agree, like, it was a very strong show. And, they built up a lot of things. They set up the general manager storyline. And we're going to talk about this in a few moments. Some potential big matches for Roman Reigns coming up, Crown Jewel, and even WrestleMania. Definitely a lot of possibilities as we head into the end of the year. So, he said shoe review. He meant show review. Autocorrect. There you go.
I was thinking about like
the letters are so close together.
Yeah, kind of shoes.
Anyways,
all right, well,
that was a typo that
don't steal my gimmick, right?
Stick to your shtick, Tito. Anyways, Virtue, we can move on.
The rest of the show, we are going to talk about Roman Reigns because he's been gone for several weeks, a month and a half, however long it's been. And we kind of don't talk about him when he's not there so we can give everybody else a chance. But when he's there, we have to talk about Roman Reigns. And guess what? He was there. Everybody was on their feet. You had John Cena in the ring. And, of course, out comes LA Knight. And we could be getting a taste of maybe Roman Reigns versus LA Knight, maybe at Crown Jewel. And we know we don't expect LA Knight to beat him, but this could be a great first showing. Remember, Stone Cold had to face Bret Hart before, and a year later, he finally became the champion. And then just when you thought that was it for Roman, he comes back out and he later in the show and stares down Cody. So that story still needs to be told. And look, regardless if we want to believe that they're going to still try to do a Rock and Roman match down the road, okay, if they do decide that, you probably want to take the title off of Roman before then so we can believe either Rock or Roman will win, because if Roman's the champion, we're probably just thinking Rock's there to do the job. So this opens up all kinds of possibilities for Cody Rhodes down the road. Is he going to win the Royal Rumble? How's he going to get that next shot again at Roman Reigns? But guess what, Jerry, I'm coming right back to you. And I always feel like, recently the Bloodline, you have main event Jay over on Raw, tag team champ now with Cody, but obviously Walter, I know it's a pet peeve of yours. They wrestled on SmackDown, but they do have two sets of tag belts. Maybe that's why. And then the Bloodline just felt discombobulated. You had Heyman and Solo. Like, I thought Jimmy wasn't part of him anymore. And then Roman kind of being back, it set everything straight again. Roman, Solo, Heyman, and then Roman's like, Jimmy, what are you doing? Roman needs to be there to make all of these things come together. And so I'm glad he is. I know there's going to be these times where he's not. But, Jerry's thoughts here. I'll start with you. Roman's the man.
I love the fact that Roman's back, but I also like when he's gone too, because you still had that presence of him there, even though he was not even there. People are always wondering, when's Roman going to return? But at the same time, his name was always still in people's mouths. He is a champion for that company. He shows up when he wants to show up, and it's pretty great. But I'm not sure where they're going to go with the number one contender for him. You know, you have LA Knight, who's on a big hot streak right now, huge, greatly over with the fans. You had Jey Uso, who's always going to be like a thorn in his side, and you have Cody Rhodes, who has to finish his story. So I think somehow we're going to get another feud between Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. Not really a feud, but they have to have some sort of fight to see who faces Roman first. But even then, LA Knight may get involved too. It could be a triple threat match for number one contendership. And then the other two getting matches later on down the line. But that doesn't seem like it would work either. And I'm starting to think the only way they're actually going to get the belts off of Roman would have to be like a four corners match, because he's already done a triple threat match, and I think it was Edge and Daniel Bryan he beat, just stacked them up. But you never see him in a fatal four-way match yet for that belt. So that could be how he loses the belt, but that'd be a really cheap way to lose the title after so many days.
Jerry, he's got to lose it clean to put that guy over. Like, you know what I mean? You build it up so much.
Like, if they go that route, it's going to be horrible. But at the same time, if they're trying to protect him, like that would just like be one of the more sensible things to do. Especially, I hate to use the word sensible. But like, I like the idea of him losing clean, and chances are it's going to be to Cody. Even though I really don't like the idea of Cody being champion there, I really don't.
Wait, explain
I really don't like Jey Uso being champion. I don't like LA Knight being champion. I like the champion we have right now.
Still, after all these days, but see, people want title defenses. Or Jerry, are you okay with? Well, Roman's got the big time title, and if he doesn't defend it all the time, we got Seth defending the other title constantly, and that's a good consolation prize. Are you one of those?
I like. With Roman, whenever he shows up, it feels very, very important. With Seth showing up, it almost feels like an obligation. Like he's got to be there because Roman's not there. They have to have some sort of figurehead or some sort of world champion present. But at the same time, I really don't see Seth as much of a champion as Roman. Maybe because of the fact that that belt was just manufactured, just so it was like a placeholder. But even then, I still see Gunther as a better champion at this point than Seth Rollins. He's had a much more extensive run. He's had very great, like on par matches every time. And I don't know. I'm just a lot more entertained with Gunther's run than I am with Seth Rollins so far. But maybe he'll change my mind. But
so you want Roman to hold the belt forever, right?
The matches with him and Shinsuke Nakamura were okay. But then if I had to watch a match between Shinsuke Nakamura and Seth Rollins, or if I had to watch Chad Gable versus Gunther again, like 2 out of 3 falls even, I'd probably choose Chad Gable and Gunther.
Interesting. So, all right, if you want Roman to keep the title even longer, at some point you got to put somebody over and make a star or make somebody's like legendary run.
Well, okay. I don't know the exact
who and when though.
I don't know exactly the time, but how long did Bruno Sammartino hold the title?
But that was a different time. They were in territory still, and he was selling out Madison Square Garden, and so they, you know what I mean. Numbers never went down at the Garden, so you just kept it on him. You kept it on him. And then finally they did how did they take it off of him to get it to Pedro Morales? They did something. Yeah. It was like Ivan Koloff or something got involved back then. This isn't going to touch that. That was like 8 years.
I can see Roman losing the belt somewhere down the line. I really can. But at the same time, I just don't see against who. I can't see anybody having the same kind of presence. I can't see anybody having the same kind of aura that Roman Reigns possesses right now. The fact that he doesn't have to be in that ring for a month, but people are still waiting for him to come back and still like wondering when he's going to show up, and the pop that he gets when he comes back just out of nowhere. You don't get that from a lot of people anymore.
Yeah.
You just
I'm totally fine with having this thing. Like, look, WrestleMania last year, I'm like, yeah, Cody's not winning the title, and I had fun with that. But it's some
I was
point.
right with you on that one.
I don't want next year's WrestleMania to come up and then it happens again and Cody failed again. And because Roman's whole run, this legendary run, it needs the seal of approval by him putting over that next guy to run with the torch clean.
Yeah.
And then boom, Roman has the all-time greatest run ever. If that guy that takes it from him has, his believable baby face and the fans are behind it, and it's a great run. So there's a lot of pressure on to make sure it's the right time, the right person.
Exactly.
To me, this Roman run is not like officially one of the greatest of all time unless that is done right. So I don't mind it taking its time. And if it's Cody in Philadelphia, then great. Like, it doesn't matter when it is. I just want it to make, because if whoever beats Roman fizzles out and nothing happens off that, could you blame Roman? You could. I mean,
where I see it, they have 5 months to build a legit competitor to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Yeah. And that's if they're going to take the belt off Roman, it's got to be at WrestleMania. It's got to be the right person. LA Knight is a bunch of catchphrases at this point. I'm sorry, but that's all he really is to me. Jey Uso has many opportunities, but at the same time, I will never really see him more than a tag wrestler. Like main event Jey Uso, cool gimmick, whatever. But at the same time, he'll always just be Jimmy's brother to me.
Wow, gotcha. Now look, well, you know what I got out of this? Jerry likes Roman as the champion, this long, enduring, record-breaking type of champion. And he likes Gunther. So that's what I got out of it. That's good. You like the heels. That's okay. That's me. So anything else you want to add before I pass it to Walter?
No.
Okay. There you go. All right, Walter. What is your take here with Roman versus LA Knight, the future versus Cody? Yeah, we got the Rock possibility that you always have to keep alive. Have at it, man.
I'm just a little nervous that no matter who beats him, they're not going to be able to live up to Roman, because he's had the title so long that now how long is the next run? Like if the next champion only has it for 6 months, is he now a disappointment after he did all that to beat Roman? You're like, you know what I mean? You kind of like
Walter, but say it's Cody. During that 6 months, he defends it more times than Roman, or like every month with a clean win. You know what I mean? Would that sway you a little bit? I mean, it's not the length, but
yeah. And then because the more times to defend it, the more chance you have of losing it. So you can always spin it that way. But I'm assuming it's Cody, but now we got so many variables in there now because we got The Rock, and like you just said, that can't be for the title, because then you obviously already showing us who's going to win.
Because Walter, if Roman loses the title to Cody before he faces The Rock, puts Cody over, that's what makes it strange. It wouldn't be on the big stage, or it could be if he worked both nights. But the thing is, Rock and Roman with no title, just for the bloodline, the tribal chief thing, it could go either way. Like, even though my gut would say Roman would win, you never know. They could do it too. Rock wins the first time, then Roman beats him. You know what I mean? They could do something like that.
It makes it more fun without the title.
No title, yeah.
Yeah, the title almost holds the match hostage almost. It's like it's better without it. And then I just love how Roman could disappear for so long and just be right where he was when he came back. Like, that stuff was funny to me. Like, he was like, "What do you think? You're the quarterback now? You
put the hair color."
Yeah.
He put the hair color back in his hair for that. That's the classic.
Yeah.
What was he saying on that plane video? He's like, "I'm stressed out.
Yeah,
I'm managing the bloodline without Roman here." Yeah, and then
I don't know. I think you should keep the gray as long as you can. It just shows that time is passing, and he's just getting more and more stressed out with the people around him.
And they mentioned that on the announcement. I don't think it was Cole. It was it Cole that said it? It was like, "Look, he's looking young," or was it Cody? I meant not Cody. Corey. It might have been Corey that said it. It was like, "Look, he don't look so stressed." Like, they even picked up on it. Like, I love the little nuances that they do. And then he was like, "You're not the leader you're not the quarterback. Like, don't be calling audibles." Like, everything Roman does. Like I just said earlier, that not everything Triple H turns is gold, but Roman really is.
Speaking of everything Roman does, Walter, How many coincidences do we have to get? Like, I know, let's go back to NXT, the Tuesday night show when Undertaker showed up. We always, like, you can go back and Taker holds the mic a lot without the little thing on there. But how often do we see him actually pull it off? It's usually already off before he takes it, which is a CM Punk thing. And then the Johnny Boy, like, I'm telling you, they're either trolling CM Punk, but like it's not they're adding up, or are we just paying attention more and more and seeing these free coincidences? Roman Reigns said a Johnny Boy line that CM Punk once said. I'm telling you, man, that's just weird to me.
It's adding up. I said it last week. If there isn't a no clause, I'm telling you, the ink is already dry. He signed it, and that's why they're doing all that. I'm telling you, CM Punk already
negotiations with him have stopped. That just means that they're done, and he's already going to come back to the ring.
I said it's dead because he signed.
The whole Vince said no. No, Vince said no to potential business. I just don't believe that. But anything else you want to say on the Roman piece? I mean, he is the head of the table indefinitely still for now.
Imagine if it's Punk that faces Roman. Like, that'd be crazy. But either way, I'd rather him face Seth because of what's already in there.
The Ring of Honor history too.
Yeah. But yeah, Roman's the man, and it's like he deserves a well break. When he loses, I think he's gonna get the break, and then Vince finally gets what he wants. He's gonna come back as that big mega face. Like, if they're gonna use all this to make him the biggest star of the company, it's not gonna be just
Walter.
Like, I'm telling you.
Whatever MMA show or boxing show that Punk announces for, dude, they're having fun with it. And there's always some weird innuendo about Punk coming back there too. Yeah. And that's the other side. Like, maybe they all love trolling fans to get them talking, but
I love it. Right. Why not?
Okay, Aaron, over to you. Talking about Roman Reigns versus LA Knight. Potential Cody Rhodes, finishing the story. Go ahead.
All right. So first off, Mr. Anderson sent in a $5 super chat. Says, "Who knows if we will get Roman Reigns versus LA Knight at Crown Jewel because of the stuff that's maybe move it to SmackDown." I think it's happening at Crown Jewel. I do not see them putting that match on SmackDown. Looks to be the Crown Jewel match, and LA Knight attacked Roman Reigns with the BFT. I was almost going to say BLT. The BFT, the blunt
BLT sounds good right now.
With me.
Yeah. So he took him out with that move at the live event on Saturday night. They're full blown in this Roman Reigns LA Knight storyline. I see that being the Crown Jewel main event, and LA Knight's not winning. I've had a few days to think about it, and I'm wondering if Kevin Owens coming to SmackDown is going to lead to something. We all know that Roman has his people looking out for him, and there's always the shenanigans in his matches. So you got Solo Sikoa, you got Jimmy Uso. Well, Kevin Owens could maybe be in LA Knight's corner at Crown Jewel, only something goes wrong and there's a miscommunication, and Kevin Owens ends up costing LA Knight the match. I don't see LA Knight winning, and he doesn't necessarily need to win right now. I know people are like, if he loses, that's it for him. But remember 1997 when Steve Austin got hot? Virtue, you brought up Bret Hart, but Austin's first title match after his turn was not WrestleMania 14. It was a cold day in hell against The Undertaker, and he was getting hot, but he lost that match to Undertaker, and he was just fine. He got past that, and that match had shenanigans and Hart Foundation and all that stuff. Austin got through it.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily the end, but where does Kevin Owens fit in here? Like, I thought about it, and yeah, he could be in War Games potentially, but this seems like an actual break from Sami Zayn, and the heels are red hot right now, and Shea Roberts brought this up. What if Owens inadvertently costs Knight and there's more dissension? And
that's the feud I didn't know I needed until like right when you said that, Aaron. I would love to see Kevin Owens versus LA Knight in a feud.
Yeah, I mean, they need something for LA Knight. Like, if he's not successful, which I don't think he will be, this would give him something. Like, if there's a falling out between Owens and LA Knight and then they feud, And that could be a big feud that could put LA
The
Knight potentially
mic
on the
work in
map.
the matches that they could have together will be right up there with like Rock and Stone Cold, I think.
Yeah, Walter.
Rock, Stone Cold, Bret Hart all lost matches. LA Knight losing is not gonna kill him. He lost one match to what you can say the GOAT is, Roman Reigns. Like, just losing a match, if you do it right, you don't have to lose all momentum. I don't know why people think one loss and you're over and done with. No, people win and people lose.
Yeah. I think it's Cody that's beating Roman. I don't think it's CM Punk. Even if CM Punk does return, I don't think he's beating Roman Reigns.
No.
I don't think The Rock is beating Roman Reigns if they, in fact, do that match for the title, which I don't necessarily think they should. But my feeling is Rock is not doing it. The actor's strike will be over by then. Rock's going to go back to Hollywood. And my gut feeling is that segment on SmackDown was to just remind everybody Cody still has a story to finish. And Cody's going to be the guy. And then there's that question, like, who can live up to Roman's run and why Cody? I mean, Cody is red hot as a baby face, and he's very reliable. And keep in mind, like somebody in the chat room said, how is he different from Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn? Cody Rhodes wears the suit. He goes out, does the media appearances. He is like John Cena in a way where he can be the representative of the company, do the media and the press and the TV shows. I think that's why he's the guy. Jerry Slaughter.
We're talking about Cody Rhodes, the dude that gave himself the worst purple nurple ever, like right before a match with Seth Rollins and Hell to Cell.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's like that. I can't really call him reliable. That's the problem right now with the people that are in the feuds with Roman Reigns and whatnot, especially with Cody. Cody's injury prone.
That was one injury. I mean, that was a freak thing. That wasn't even in the ring.
Yeah, really bad one though.
Well, it happens. It can happen.
I was working out, right?
Yeah, it was working out. It wasn't even in the ring. And he's been back this entire year, and he's doing a heavy schedule, and he has not gotten hurt. Although
so if
they might want to stop doing that.
The title, that means Roman Reigns lost the belt for nothing.
They might want to stop doing that double team move that Jay and Cody are doing, that 1D cutter. Like, I feel like Cody is landing poorly on that move. Walter?
Yeah, he landed on his head a few. I just wanted to ask the three of you, how do you think we get to Cody versus Roman? Because if the trade was KO, I really don't want Cody to win the Rumble again. So how do you get to that match? Like, I just wanted
to be honest with you, I was thinking about this. You know, with the whole Rock stuff aside, again, slim chance there. I think Cody's going to win the Rumble. I think he's going to win it again, but I don't think he's going to be 30. I think he's going to be in it early,
right?
And go the distance.
And that makes more sense because last year we're all wondering why is he number 30 and winning this, because it feels like he didn't really truly earn it. Yeah. And now if he's number 1 and wins it,
maybe not 1, but like early though. One would be great, but like, you know, top 5, first 5.
Yeah,
I'd say number 4 or 5. 4 or 5 would be good.
Because damn it, I want Gunther to win the Rumble. Damn it!
Like, yeah, it's just I'm accepting the fact that I think that by WrestleMania in Philly, Cody Rhodes will finally end Roman Reigns' streak, and I'm not going to make bets. You know, whatever. I'm realizing, because again, you have to, for Roman's championship run to be this all-time great, you got to put it on the hottest baby face. And you could say LA Knight's getting there. Well, Cody's a little hotter still than LA Knight. Plus, he's got more traction because of, you know, what he's done outside of WWE at a bigger level than LA Knight. And I'm getting that feeling that it's going to happen like that.
So Virtue says via the Rumble. What about you, Aaron?
I think Cody's going to win the Rumble most likely. I think something's going to happen, and Cody and Jay will lose the tag team titles, and then Cody's going to need to get some revenge, and he'll get in the Rumble, win it early number, and then this time he'll beat Roman Reigns. And to me, he's the guy for the job. You know, there was that question, who can live up to the potential? Like, I think Cody's their best shot. Like, you could say Braun Breaker, but I feel like that's too much pressure on a guy who's still a rookie. Like, Cody is a veteran, but he's not 40 yet. I think he's their best guy right now for the job. LA Knight, he's hot, but he's also 40, and I just don't feel like the time is right for him. I think it's still Cody's title to win. And I think if anybody can carry it, it's him. So I'm
Aaron,
going with
what
Cody.
they need to do for that Rumble is, and they haven't really done this for a while, have those last 5 or 6 that have outlasted everybody else, the top guys, like the potential, like LA Knight, Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn, Kevin, have all of those guys be the ones in the ring, because then we're like, wow,
yeah,
the tension that would be there watching it, seeing those guys in there, and then
love that.
Have a big number 30.
Yeah.
So then it's like, oh my God, like
I would
they
love
need
that.
to do that.
Like I would love if the final 4 were guys that Roman beat that are looking for that one more chance, like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens and LA Knight and Cody Rhodes. Like that would be a great final.
And even
4.
if that 30 Walter was Punk and he wasn't the one to win it, dude, could you just imagine like what the emotions that fans are gonna have? Cody, Punk, LA Knight,
like
that.
The year Cena won, wasn't it? Like Triple H, Edge, and Cena were like the last ones, wasn't it? The year that Cena won.
We need something like that. Yep.
What if like 2 people, like what if it be like Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso are the last 2 in the ring? They knock each other both out at the same time. Do we get a callback? Triple H runs out to the ring and does a double quad tear.
That would be fun.
But what were you saying, Aaron, about Cena though? I kind of.
I'm guessing Cena's going to be back doing his movies by then. But they could have, if Cena's available, they could have him and Cody in the final 2 at the Rumble versus Cody.
Yeah, I don't think they've done that.
It.
Cena one that have like the big names at the last few.
Yeah, maybe
we got plenty of time to let this soak in. I think what's ahead of us right now is let's see what the official match for Roman is for Crown Jewel. That's the next time he's going to defend the title, and it's looking like LA Knight. And let's just enjoy that for what it is. Let LA Knight get the Roman Reigns rub. Let it be a very good competitive match. We know Roman's going to keep that title, but like we could all come out of this like, yes, that was good for LA Knight's main event career, and it'll make it worth it in the end if he does get that prize down the road. So that's kind of where we're at with this. The Cody stuff is way later.
The best way they can do that is have Roman put like LA Knight in a guillotine choke, and he doesn't tap out.
There you go. I mean, there's different ways they could do it.
It'd be a good idea if all champs are allowed to be on both shows. And then when they lose the titles, they get to pick which one they're on. And then that way, when they lose the tag titles, Cody can say, well, I want to be on SmackDown and finish my story. You can do that.
There you go. There's an idea. I like it.
Well, there's general managers now, so maybe there'll be more negotiating and not just,
That's not true. That's
kind of deciding what they do. Yeah. Aaron, anything else? Any other super chats? I think we can wrap this sucker up soon.
Yeah, I think we're ready to do our plugs.
Yes. Let's go around and do our plugs. Jerry, welcome back. It was great to have you back. You're always welcome. So go ahead, do your plugs.
Well, I really don't do much on Twitter, but it's Gerald_JSJ. And my Facebook group, Armbar, all capital, ARMBAR, exclamation point. We do a lot of wrestling discussions, memes, just general wrestle talk. We don't really have specific promotions that we promote. We just have a good time just talking about wrestling. So big hello to Noah Foster and Colin. Hope you guys will get back on these shows soon too, because I miss seeing you.
Colin back on one of these.
I miss Colin.
Colin needs to come back on one of these for sure. Thank you, Jerry. All right, Walter, Mr. Reliable, go ahead.
Well, you can catch me on the X or the Tony Khan crying channel. The Walter Alex Cruz. You can catch me on the gram at Cowfire Farms and my YouTube at Rage of Wrestling. And like always, thanks for having me.
You are welcome, Mr. Reliable. I think you're gonna probably be on most of every episode going forward. But
yep.
We need to have a big queue line for you to not make a show at this point. So, yeah. All right, Aaron, over to you.
Shout out to Jeff Meacham and the Jeff Meacham Network. There's a plug for all their channels, and of course, NoDQ's on that list too. So, hope Jeff is doing well, and Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest. NoDQ.com/merch as we head into NoDQ's 25-year anniversary coming up next month. And that's it for this time. We'll see you on the next episode. Virtue, we can go ahead and wrap it up.
Next Sunday, right? 8 p.m.
Next Sunday.
So we got a whole week of wrestling stuff to fester before we come back. So yeah, go to x.com and follow me if you dare at NoDQ_Virtue. We're going to get a new picture up soon. And go to NoDQ.com/merch to check out all the NoDQ merchandise, the Virtue shirts. But be sure to go there. And of course, NoDQ.com. Aaron, you want to get that super chat before I close it?
Oh, we do have an overtime one here. We're after dark. This Guy Experience sent in $2. He said, so many options for the real world champion. Roman Reigns, the real world champion? Who else would it be?
I mean, he's got the two biggest titles combined into one now, so Roman.
Yeah, and Seth Rollins has options. CM Punk maybe, and Drew McIntyre. I think we're definitely going to see Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre at some point. So, Rollins is keeping busy, and at least when they have the new world champion, now Roman can take time off and it doesn't feel as frustrating because you have the other world champion.
Don't rule out Sami Zayn and Rollins too, because that could be Sami Zayn's crack in a world title. So
yeah, there you go.
Oh, and then Damian Priest. But all right. Anyway, so now that is it. So for the whole NoDQ galaxy, everybody that even wasn't on this video, Aaron Rift, Walter, and Jerry, good evening, everybody. We will see you again next Sunday night. Have a good one.
Say yeah to NoDQ.
Thank you for that, Walter.